Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Eric Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health. What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Happy 2019. I hope you're having a great year. As early into it as we are, I hope you haven't fucked anything up. I hope you are accomplishing and making strides toward your New Year's resolution, the new you you're going to unveil to the world. Everything's going to change, and I hope you had a great holiday, whether it was Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or just, dancing naked around a fucking fire, or whatever the hell you do for the holidays. I hope it was a great one. I hope you had a safe New Year's. Hope you didn't get a DUI or do anything stupid, and if you did, well, now you got something to fix in 2019. So, see, it's all about gratitude. It's all about finding the positive, because that's what you should be doing. No matter what you're doing in 2019, you should be having gratitude and just being thankful that you have the ability to have all this technology and privilege and advantage in your pocket that you can do things like listen to the Holistic A-Hole podcast. By the way, man, I am a very grateful person, practice gratitude, and try to see the plus side of stuff. And New Year's, and this is not what the podcast was supposed to be about at all, but I do want to just kind of go off on this tangent for a second, which is you hear a lot of talk about how bad things are, right? I feel like I just hear nothing. I mean, that's not true. I don't hear nothing, but if you spend any time on social media, maybe with the exception of Instagram, because people don't put bad shit on Instagram, but if you're on Twitter or Facebook, you would swear that the world was coming to an end. And in many ways, it might just be. But I have a hard time corroborating that thought where people are like, oh my God, these are the worst of times. Oh my God, can you believe politics? Oh my God, can you believe, the poor and the rich and everything is falling apart? Yet somehow, I went to some neighborhood bar on New Year's Eve where there was a freaking $85 a person fucking entrance fee, which, by the way, I didn't pay in because I'm pretty slick. But the place was fucking jam-packed. So there were, several hundred people in this one little neighborhood bar in Queens, New York City, where somehow even though the world is in bad shape and everybody's dying and everybody's pissed because Trump is going to build a wall and blah, 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 yet somehow people were able to dish out $85 to go out and party for a couple hours on New Year's Eve. Man, we must be in fucking dire times. I don't know, did you leave the bread line and then go to Diddy's on fucking Ditmars Boulevard and drop $85? I'll get the government sanctioned bread and cheese, but you're not going to fuck with my New Year's celebration. Give me a goddamn break, dude. If you're one of these people and you have nothing to do but complain about how things are, just take a second and just take a breath and be grateful that you have the ability to pull a phone out of your pocket and tweet that thought in the first place. Because if things were really that bad, my friend, you would not have that advantage. So be grateful no matter what your situation is. 2019, it's going to be a great year. Whether fucking things go great or things go haywire, you're still going to be alive, probably. And that's all you got to be grateful for. And the fact that you have resources like the Holistic A-Hole podcast to make sure that you don't suffer from some stupid, civilization-born disease, right? That we can fight things like type 2 diabetes and, we can prevent cancer and we can prevent heart disease. Yeah, I said it. We can do it. We can do it. By the way, go check with your doctor for any, recommendations or whatever. But we can do it. We can 100% do this. It's not fucking hard. And that's what I'm here for today. And let me say this, man. I'm going the extra mile for this podcast right now because I'm in the middle of doing some testing through a new functional doctor that I'm going to, which I'll probably do a podcast about at some point in the future here. Just the experience of going to a functional doctor, which is in and of itself it's very interesting. Because I swore off doctors years ago, but now I'm going to a functional doctor, and it's just a different ballgame. And it's just a completely different ballgame. And I feel this is going to be the future of medicine. It has to be. There's no choice. Here in America, we can't afford a comprehensive, integrated, functional way of looking at health. We can't afford any other way. We can't afford to keep giving people bullshit pharmaceuticals to beat symptoms. That can't be health, man. I'm so crabby because here's the thing. I'm in the middle of these tests, and today or tomorrow I'm going in for a pee test, and my pee test has to be like as concentrated pee as possible. So basically today, like, I can't drink any water. Like, I'm limited to like 3 cups of water. And I know for some of you that's like, holy shit, dude, what are you, a fish? But when you're the holistic a-hole and you drink like 8 or 9 cups a day, and I'm trying to drink upwards of like 80 ounces a day of water, 3 cups, this is like walking through the desert. You know what I mean? So I'm going to push through it because this is what we do. It's about consistency and getting this podcast out, and it's about giving you all value, which is what I want to do with this podcast today, which is talk about the new year. And I know some of you have made the New Year's resolution to lose weight, which is commendable. I think it's a little hacky. And I don't believe that most of you are going to accomplish this. But for those of you who are excited to try it, to really like focus on losing weight and to get healthy, I'm going to provide a resource here. And again, I'm not going to take credit for you losing weight or not losing weight. And chances are, if you lose weight, I don't doubt that you're going to put it right back on. Because in health, I believe if you're trying to lose weight, you're going after the wrong thing. I think weight loss can be a symptom of overall improved health, which is what I think you should be going for. You should be trying to basically make your whole, kind of holistic health status elevated. You want more energy. You want more, balanced nutrients. You want to make sure you're not deficient in things. You want to be exercising. You want to be, eating the right foods, eating enough good fats. I said it, fats. You want to be cutting, I don't like to say cut carbs, but you want to cut like grains and sugar, and sleep better. And if you do all this stuff, you're going to lose weight. But if you're like, I want to lose weight, and then you start doing these weird crash diets, and you start, going out and buying all these supplements that you don't know what they do. You don't even know if you need them. You don't even know if they come from a good source. You start sucking down like cod liver oil and all of these, potentially toxic things. And then you wonder, and you start squirting fucking hand sanitizer all over your hands, and you overwash it, and then you wonder like, why can I not lose weight? Well, because you basically have rebuilt up your toxic load, and your body doesn't know how to handle it. You haven't focused on how to actually open up your liver detoxification pathways. You don't know how to properly sweat. Your skin is physically unable to get rid of these toxins. So you feel worse because you do this shit. This is why you don't lose weight. I don't say you're not going to lose weight because I don't believe in you. I just don't think you have the tools to do it. If your goal is to lose weight, it's just not going to happen. It's a stupid goal. People are not heavier, but are thick, and are in amazing health. Sometimes thickness correlates to better health. Sometimes rail thin, skinny looking people are the worst fucking healthy people, and they weigh nothing. There's this kid who hangs out in my apartment building. I don't know where he comes from, where he lives. He's just kind of like hanging out all the time, like smoking a cigarette outside. Kid, fucking thin as shit. Right? He's real thin. He looks like a fucking, he looks like he hasn't slept in weeks, probably on all these different drugs. Who knows? I'm not going to, stereotype the kid, but I just know the kid is not in good health. He's smoking cigarettes every day, but he's fucking rail thin. So, I think if anything, if in 2019, your goal is health related, that it should not be to lose weight. It should be to get better sleep. It should be to feel better, to not need 3 coffees a day. It should be to need no coffee. a day. You should be able to, wake up in the morning and go to bed at night, and you shouldn't be taking 3-hour naps. You should be able to pop out of bed. It shouldn't take you, an hour to get out of bed. You shouldn't be dragging ass throughout the day. You'll feel this. You'll feel this when your body starts working right, because I've been on both sides of it. I know what it's like to have that feeling of, and not to mention that feeling of sluggishness. It comes with anxiety. It comes with depression. It comes with, acne. It comes with skin problems. It comes with thinning hair. It comes with, joint swelling and muscle fatigue and all of these problems. So it's not like it's isolated. It's like you'll feel these host of things start to go away. Like you'll wake up one day, you'll wake up after just a refreshing 8 hours of sleep, and you will pop out of bed and you'll be like, holy shit, like I feel good. Like you'll know it, It's not like you feel like shit and you're like, I feel good. No, it's like, I feel fucking great. And then you'll start losing weight. That's where we want to get to. So what I've done is I put together this resource here for you of my top 5 books that I would say are good reading for anybody who wants to, if you want to lose weight, right? Let's just say that because I know that's what you guys want. I could preach to the hills that losing weight is a stupid goal, but in the end, you want to lose weight. If you lose weight, that means you might be getting healthier, right? So and if any of you have this goal to get healthier in the new year, to lose weight, whatever it is, these are my top 5 books that I would recommend. Now, it's really hard to narrow this down to 5. I don't even know if these are the top 5 because I've read a lot of these books, a lot of health books. There's a shit ton of them out there. Every day, new ones come out on the market. So there's probably ones out there I don't even know. There's ones I have on my wish list I haven't read. There's ones that I've read and I just don't remember. And then I even made an additional list of books that I didn't put on this list, but they're going to be on I would recommend reading them, okay? But if I'm going to say off the top of my head, 5 books that I would say you want to get healthy in 2019, you want to change your health status, you want to lose weight, you want to do all that stuff you want to do, these are the books you got to read, obviously amongst others. So the first book I would recommend is a book I'm actually currently in the process of reading. So maybe this might come with a little, bias on my end. Maybe it's just because, you tend to be a little bit more into the books that you're currently reading. But this book, bias aside, in fact, I'm reading it aside, is, an insane wealth of knowledge, and it's totally in line with a lot of the stuff that I've been picking up throughout my nutritional therapy course, throughout most of the research I've done. For the years that I've been researching this stuff on my own, it's a lot of really in-depth, I don't want to say, it is, a lot of it is scientific and technical. It's not above anybody's reading. It's a higher reading level, but it's not like you need to go to med school to understand this. I don't think you need any more than maybe a 10th grade reading level to read this book, but there's a lot of in-depth knowledge and recommendations that will help you along your way. And the book is called Undoctored. Undoctored, like doctor, but undoctored. And it's by Dr. William Davis, who also wrote the book Wheat Belly. If any of you guys have ever read that book, this year, part of my transformation of going from, vegan to non-vegan to maybe closer to paleo has involved a lot of cutting of wheat and grains. It's funny because it's like, it's like not even being a vegan, but just like in the whole low-fat lifestyle, they make you're always gonna hear the recommendations, cut your levels of saturated fat and eat more healthy whole grains, and there could be nothing further from the truth. These quote-unquote whole grains, and let's not even count white flour and white bread in there, but let's talk about wheat bread, 7-grain bread, all these different breads that they put out there. They have the heart healthy stamp from the American Heart Association on them. They're toxic, bro. They're toxic. First of all, the wheat rises your insulin levels, has a higher glycemic index than many than a lot of sugary products out there. I think even higher than sucrose itself. I mean, you think about it, it makes sense because basically it's made from grains, starch, which is which is a string of the sucrose molecules. It's a string of them together. It's a more dense concentration of sucrose. So yeah, it's gonna raise your glycemic index. So you might as well just eat a candy bar instead of people are eating like whole wheat toast, and really you could just be eating a fucking donut and it doesn't matter. Granted, the donut's gonna hit you really hard with like corn syrup and all these, the frosting and stuff like that. But I'm just kind of making the analogy that the wheat bread, any grain, bread, bagel, muffin, croissants, whatever it is, any baked good like that is going to come with a whole host of problems, mostly in the form of the wheat proteins, the gliadin, I think it's called gliadin, amylopectin A, and gluten. So Wheat Belly opened my eyes to a lot of this, and then he kind of talks about in that book Wheat Belly, which I also recommend, if you're looking to get healthy. It's not on my list, but this kind of goes with it. Kind of like the evolution of modern wheat. Modern wheat is not It's not what we want to think wheat is. Wheat, maybe 12,000 years ago, had maybe some nutritional value. You know, it's the seed of grass. We're not supposed to eat grass, first of all. We're certainly not supposed to eat the seed of the grass. We can't fucking, digest that stuff. But what they've done is they've de-hulled it, and then they've taken what's inside of it, made it into flour, and then made that into bread. So all of this stuff is just toxic all to begin with. And then in Undoctored, what he does is he uses a lot of those same wheat belly principles. This dude, Dr. William Davis, uses a lot of the same wheat belly principles, but now he's applying this to how to pretty much manage your own health without needing a doctor. So what he's kind of saying is, I'm going to teach you how to live without a doctor because I think doctors are unnecessary. I mean, aside from what we should be using doctors for, which is like emergency care, right? This isn't going to help you if you get in a car accident, right? This is going to help you if you have terminal cancer. This is not going to help you if you have, one of these rare genetic conditions that, people are born with or people develop over time, But 90% of the ailments out there that you can consider lifestyle, which are a lot of them are thyroid disorders, autoimmune disorders, type 2 diabetes, Jesus Q Christ, so many autoimmune disorders, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, all these different fucking things, these different problems, Alzheimer's, dementia, so many of these problems are avoidable. And this is what is wrecking the healthcare system right now, because we have people who need all of this care for all of these avoidable diseases, which, by the way, is taking money away from being able to treat people with actual serious conditions. Leukemia, I'm not going to say that's avoidable. That's probably not avoidable. But people who have leukemia need to see a doctor, right? But the people who have the type 2 diabetes are taking the resources from that away. Type 2 diabetes can be not only treated, it can be fully reversed. It can be reversed and cured. You don't need the medication. You don't need the doctor. You can do this on your own, right? So this is what this book is about. And so I find it would be a good place to start where you're like, you don't want to be in the doctor's office anymore. You want to get off your pharmaceuticals. By the way, he also talks about, the racket of doctors and pharmaceuticals and their education comes from pharmaceutical reps. And it's all true, or for the most part. I'm sure there's good doctors out there. There definitely are good doctors, but there's a lot of fucking rotten doctors. And as a person who worked, as a fake patient, helping new doctors, learn how to do these fucking in-person, consultations. Let me tell you something, dude. The bar is not that high to become a goddamn doctor. All right. It is quite frightening to see who is becoming doctors and what they're going through to become a doctor in the first place. Not that rigorous. So I would recommend the book Undoctored by Dr. William Davis. Good place to start. Good place to get a good amount of real in-depth, fucking dense knowledge and keep it on your shelf because you're going to refer to this book a lot. He also makes recommendations on the blood tests to get. There's recipes that are easy to do. It's a great book, okay, for reaching your 2019 weight loss and health goals. Another book I want to recommend is the book Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter. And Grain Brain is going to have a lot of similarities to the book Undoctored. In fact, I read Grain Brain a couple weeks ago, and my first thought when reading this was, I wish this was the book that I started with. I wish this was the book that I first read when I first decided I'm going to get healthy, because he explains everything, right? He explains the grains, the connection. His big thing is the connection of the grains to how it affects your brain. So he spends a lot of time talking about, the connection of grains to Alzheimer's, grains to all of the gut diseases, how the gut and the brain are connected. This is one of the first things I learned. I couldn't believe it, but it's 100% a fact. Look up the vagus nerve. They used to, and I think in like ancient Greek times, refer to the gut as the second brain. We've known this. This is like ancient knowledge that somehow we knew back in the day, but now we forgot it because of the advent of the pharmaceutical, fucking megalith empire. But really, treating your gut like royalty will help your brain in a lot of ways. A lot of things that you eat, a lot of toxic materials, a lot of these endocrine disruptors, they cross the blood-brain barrier. This is basically what's supposed to keep harmful chemicals out of your brain. And a lot of the foods that are sprayed with fucking pesticides, glyphosate, which all wheat is and grains are sprayed pretty heavily with these pesticides. They're complete endocrine disruptors. They go into your brain, the amylopectin A, what causes the fucking Alzheimer's, the plaque, is it amylopectin A? No, I'm sorry. I'm confusing it. What is the plaque? It starts with an A. It's going to come to me. The plaque that forms on your brain, a lot of that comes from the chemicals that you find in the grains, in the wheat. Again, I didn't want to believe this, especially when I was a vegan, but now that it's in my brain, now that it's in my, my vision, I've made it part of my, what is it called? Jesus Christ, I'm forgetting. My reticular vision, my reticular activated vision, that's the thing where you just start noticing shit that you think about. I can't not notice the amount of fucking grains and wheat and bread. And it's not just wheat, dude. It's not just cutting wheat and gluten. You're replacing this with fucking all kinds of starch, right? Corn flour. The corn starch is probably the second biggest one. You think about you think about tapioca flour. All this stuff. Even like almond flour and all these different, like they still raise your insulin level. They still are toxic in a lot of ways. And again, the grains, they spike your insulin. They're a huge burden on your glycemic index. They come with a pretty hefty glycemic load. So this is going to put weight on you. If you're like, how do I lose weight? Well, the first thing you can do is if you cut your grains and sugar, you'll start dropping weight so fast. You won't even know what to do. And it's hard because people are afraid to do that because they're at the base of the food pyramid built by the USDA, which has a lot of suspect funding from grain and corn lobbyists. So when I read the book Grain Brain, aside from this information I just told you, David Perlmutter, much like William Davis, explains in a very kind of easy to digest way how gluten works in your body, how these other harmful wheat products, non-gluten wheat and grain products, how they function and how they just wreck your gut, wreck your brain, wreck your body. Spike your blood sugar, all these different things, right? Again, if you're looking to get healthy, you're looking to get away, lose your brain fog and do all these, basically just overall improve your health. Eliminating grains and sugar from your diet is the biggest thing you can do. Now, notice I'm not saying carbohydrates, and I'm not saying fruit, and I'm not saying carbs, because I do believe that you should eat fruit fairly liberally. Now, there's a lot of sugar that comes in fruit, no doubt about it. But you have to understand the difference in fruit with just like a starch like grains or wheat or bread, which is the way that it gets absorbed in your body. If you eat fruit, it comes with fiber. It comes with prebiotic fibers. These are huge for your gut bacteria. You want to treat your gut bacteria like royalty. So you want that fiber. You want the nutrients that come in the skins of the fruit, that come in the fruit of the fruit. So I'm not going to tell you to not eat fruit, but I'm also going to say, like, if you're looking to lose weight, maybe you chill on the fruit a little bit. Maybe you have like a piece of fruit a day. Maybe you have less than that. Maybe you have a couple pieces of fruit a week. Maybe you just have a handful of blueberries in the day. I'm a fruit fiend. I love fruit, but I've also kind of like lowered my fruit consumption throughout the last couple months, and I'm definitely seeing results, but I just can't lose. I have a sweet tooth. Maybe that has something to do with my fasting blood sugar. I'm not sure. I'm checking that right now, but definitely if you want to lower your fasting blood sugar, the best thing you could do is eliminate all the sugar, all the grains. Keep your fruit modest, but definitely load up on vegetables. Load up especially on resistant starch vegetables like green plantains, green bananas are huge. This dude, William Davis, in his book Undoctored says white potato uncooked, because that way it retains the resistant starch. One thing I've heard you can do is you can cook potato and like cut it, and you could do this with pasta, I've heard too, but pasta kind of goes in that grain category. So I don't know if I would do this, but definitely with potato, you can cook the potato and make like a potato salad and then put it back in the fridge. And when it hardens back up, it'll go back into resistant starch. And between the green banana, the green plantain, and the white starchy potato, this is going to feed your bowel, your colon bacteria. That's the shit you want. It makes butyrate, short chain fatty acid, which is, again, just an amazing chemical to have in your body. Helps your immune system, helps your blood pressure. Helps your brain, helps everything, dude. So yes, Grain Brain by David Perlmutter also talks a lot about, kind of explains cholesterol in a very easy to digest way, telling you, cholesterol is very good, and explains this thing, advanced glycation end products, which are basically short. That is the acronym is AGE. Basically, it's the proteins in your body getting sugared over with sugar. They sugar over the insulin receptors in your cells, and so your cells become your cell. Then the tissues become very sticky, and your cells can't get glucose anymore. They can't make energy. They can't make ATP. So a lot of this, again, comes from excessive amounts of sugar. And David Perlmutter has a very, very good, easy to digest explanation of how those works. More proof that sugar is awful. Stay away from it. So another book I recommend, number 3 on my list here, is the book Proteinaholic by Dr. Garth Davis. Now, this one is going to be a little kind of different from the other 2 books I've recommended. So with this list, I obviously am leaning a little bit more towards paleo in my own personal diet lately, not fully paleo, but using a lot of those same principles. But I do think there are good lessons to learn from every, style of eating. The metabolic typing diet is, I wouldn't say this is what you have to do, but it's got good principles to take. I believe the vegan diet has good principles to take. So Garth Davis, I think he leans more plant-based. I don't know if he's full vegan, but basically in this book, Proteinaholic, what he's talking about is the dangers of protein, what protein is, what protein does, why it can be carcinogenic, why it can promote aging, advanced glycation end products, because it opens up the mTOR pathway. You have IGF-1, and the reason I think this is an important book to read, now in your health journey, is because you're going to hear about protein a lot. And people really toss around protein. People, you hear people saying you need to get more protein. But personally, I don't think that's good advice. Especially if you want to lose weight. Protein adds weight. Protein can be broken down, or will get broken down in your body, into sugar. It will get turned into glucose. When your body stops burning glucose, the next thing it goes for is the protein. It breaks down your protein. It'll literally break down your muscles. So if you're eating high amounts of protein, and you're like, why can't I lose weight? Because the protein you're eating is getting stuck and converted onto your muscles and onto your bones as fat. Unless you're working out a lot, if you're lifting weights, especially, protein's good, but it also adds more mass to your body, and it again, starts growing cells. That's what IGF-1 does. Is it grows things, and if you have cancer cells, it's going to grow cancer cells. So, protein can be debated. The keto people, they don't do protein. If you want to get in ketosis, you want low protein, high fat, which again, I'm not advocating getting ketosis, but I do think there is benefit to staying low in protein and kind of understanding protein's role in the diet. So Dr. Garth Davis's Proteinaholic, I find, is a good read on that, because you want to read objectively. You know what I mean? You don't want people just fluffing you up about like, hey, eat this, eat that, eat that. No, you want to hear like, what is wrong with protein? What is wrong with carbs? What is wrong with fat? To me, that's what I want. I want objectivity. So you're going to get that from Proteinaholic from Dr. Garth Davis. The fourth book I'm going to recommend is called The Adrenal Reset Diet, and this is by Dr. Alan Christansen. Again, this is another book I read years ago, but I think, especially if you're trying to lose weight and you want to lose fat, especially women, you need to understand how your adrenals work. The adrenals control so much about your blood sugar pathway, about how blood sugar works in your body, about how your hormones work in your body, about how why your energy is lacking. Your adrenals are basically creating your energy. They create adrenaline. They create norepinephrine. They work with your blood sugar. They work with your insulin. They literally get you up in the morning. They literally keep it so that when you stand up from laying down, you don't lose all the blood in your head and get dizzy. You know what I mean? A lot of you are dealing with that. A lot of you can't stand up from laying down too fast because you'll get dizzy. This is your adrenals. Your adrenals are the reason why you get sick. If you have a lot of people dealing with the flu and cold, like, why did I get the flu? It's not because you caught something. It's because your adrenals, you probably have adrenal fatigue, and your adrenals can't help boost your immune system. Your adrenals work with your immune system. They work with your reproductive system. They help with the regulation of sex hormones and all these different things, right? The reproductive system. So most of us are walking around today adrenal fatigued. Why? Because of excessive amounts of sugar and stress. Your adrenals are your fight or flight system. They work with your central nervous system. If you're stressed all the time and you're eating a lot of sugar, well, you're taxing your adrenals. You're like, why can't I go to sleep? Why am I not tired at night? And why am I exhausted in the morning? Because of your adrenals. So a lot of people can't even make it to the gym because of their adrenals. So, Dr. Alan Christansen really breaks down what the adrenals are, what they do, why they're important, and then he gives a pretty interesting method of repairing your adrenals, of basically resetting and recovering the function of your adrenals, which is to do away with a lot of the sugar, especially early in the morning. Start your day off with a high-fat, high-protein meal. And the last book I'm going to recommend here of my top 5 is the Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan. This is a very famous book. Michael Pollan is a very popular health writer, has written a lot of books, not just about health, but I find a very holistic approach to health, where he's talking about health and food and how it relates to culture and society in a very fun, ready type way. Omnivore's Dilemma. It's been a couple months since I read this one, so I'm trying to just remember. It was a lot about explaining a lot of the supply chain of food. Specifically, I found these sections about corn to be very interesting. He's talking about meat and his respect for meat after going out and hunting for meat. Again, thinking about when the food gets to your plate, what is the actual supply chain it needs to go through to get there? We don't have any connection to that. When you go to McDonald's, you don't think about the cows You don't think about the slaughterhouse. You don't think about the treatment. You don't think about any of that shit. You just think, get the food on my tray, get it in my mouth, dip it in some sweet and sour and some barbecue sauce. That's how I like to roll. And then fucking feel like garbage for another 2 days until you go back to McDonald's the next day and then just kind of wear it off, you know? So it's an interesting take on how food gets to be where it is, especially, again, corn, you know, because corn is the most ubiquitous fucking probably nutrient and ingredient in our modern diet. You know, I think they've taken hair samples of people and have shown, like, I mean, we're made of like fucking insane amounts of corn because it's in every food, and most of us are highly sensitive to it, you know? Most of us can't even eat corn. I mean, it's just straight up sugar when it gets into your body. Right? And the corn that we're eating now is so genetically modified beyond what corn naturally is that, I mean, who knows the damage it's even doing. So when it comes to actually, I find not just learning what to eat, but understanding what your eating's origin, I find is very important. The respect of food you need to have if you're going to get healthy and you're going to lose weight and you're going to go on a diet. And again, a fun read, Michael Pollan's Omnivore Dilemma. Any Michael Pollan book you read, you're going to enjoy. I can't think of the names of the other ones, but if you just go to Amazon and look up Michael Pollan, you'll see a bunch of his books. Again, all of them are great. All of them give a really interesting insight into our modern diet. Now, some auxiliary books that I would also recommend here for you. I would say, as much as I can't stand this dude, I would recommend the book The Bulletproof Diet by Dave Asprey. You know, to me, this was like kind of like my introduction to like the whole really good fats discussion that I actually didn't want to believe for a long time. I didn't want to believe that, you know, adding butter and coconut oil into your coffee was a good idea. But it's actually a good idea. You know, fucking MCT oil is very important stuff. Medium chain triglycerides, your body's going to work a lot better off of it. So if you're like, how do I understand fat better? I think the Bulletproof Diet is good. Here's a really nerdy one for you. Why Stomach Acid is Good for You. This is a book I had to read for my nutritional therapy course, but digestion starts in the stomach. It starts actually before the stomach, starts in the brain, and then once the food gets into your stomach, you need stomach acid. It's a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry right now trying to defeat stomach acid. Fucking Prilosec, these proton pump inhibitors, all these different medications that neutralize stomach acid, the fucking pink stuff, you know, because we get heartburn. We think it's because we have too much stomach acid, when in fact, it's the complete opposite. We need more stomach acid. We don't have enough stomach acid. Our stomach acid is out of control, and we need to control it. This is what's going to break down your food. The whole reason you see so many people suffering from things like IBS and Crohn's and colitis and SIBO and all these different things is because food is not being broken down by stomach acid in the person's stomach to begin with. So Why Stomach Acid is Good for You is a good book. Why Stomach Acid is Good for You is a good book to basically, I mean, if you're like, I don't understand stomach acid, and the holistic a-hole, Eric Levi's telling me I need to believe in stomach acid, this book will help you understand why it's so important. And if you read that book, above any other of the books I read, I just named off, if you read that book alone, your health will improve dramatically if you follow the steps in that book. So I think all the books I just named off are also the book Radiation Nation. You should really understand EMF and EMR radiation, what it's doing to you. I've done a podcast on it. I don't know what number it is, but it's down there somewhere. I would highly recommend learning as much about EMF radiation as you can, because this is, in my opinion, what is going to cause the next mass extinction. But we don't want to think about that now. It's 2019. Everything's good, right? We're grateful. So I've got these listed up in my podcast description. I also have a show notes page for this on my website, holisticahole.com. If you're new to the podcast, please, I can't emphasize enough, please subscribe. And then if you enjoyed it, go on to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all Holistic A-Hole. And if you want to be in the community, join the Holistic A-Holes Facebook group. That's Holistic A-Holes, the Facebook group. And go check out the Holistic A-Hole YouTube page. So So keep listening, everybody. I'll be back next week with a new episode, and I'll talk to you then. Peace.